What's going on, everyone? Welcome back into the Dairyland Drive podcast. Collin, Riley, and, well, Mike, he's back. Back again. Down south, a little nicer weather than you brought back an absolute torture of a blizzard with you, apparently. That I don't know what hit on your side of the state or down in Illinois, but we just got absolutely buried, just destroyed. It's like it was the second biggest snowstorm ever in like Green Bay's history. Like we were over 3 feet. There's only one snowstorm that was worse in it. Yeah, it's absolutely brutal. It took about an hour and a half, hour 45 to shovel the driveway out. Luckily, the neighbors helped with the assist with the snow the snow blower, but my goodness. Middle of March. What can you expect? That's just the Midwest for you, I guess. And then I think I know you're coming to Green Bay this way for the concert, obviously this weekend, but it's supposed to be like 70. I saw in lacrosse on Saturday.
I did.
Is that correct?
77 was the latest number I saw on Saturday,
That's insane.
and then back to like the 40s.
That's insane.
Oh, yeah.
What's going on? I mean, I'm not surprised, but that's just crazy. Whatever weather, it's so interesting and such BS sometimes. But anyways, regardless, we all survived. Whatever the snowstorm or whatever it was, but we're back to talk a little bit of Packers, and then I think a lot of people's favorite time of year, March Madness, the NCAA tournament. Obviously starting this week, Thursday, Friday, with those first round matchups. We'll kind of give you a little look at what our brackets are, our picks, who we have winning it all. Then we're going to have a little group Dairyland Drive bracket off ESPN. So when we post this on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, we'll include a link. We'll include the password. It's super simple. It's password, so you can't mess that up. Get that entered by Thursday at 11. And we'll keep track of everyone, including us three, and then all the listeners. See who ends up being the winner, the bracket master, bracket champion here in a few weeks. But before we get to that, we got to talk a little Packers. First week of, I guess if you want to call it legal tampering, free agency, whatever the correct term is nowadays, the NFL offseason underway. Packers have been active, bringing back some of their own guys, making some trades, making some free agent signings. So we're going to start with you, Mike, because I know we touched a little bit about this in last week's episode when Peyton joined me and Riley. But this is the first time really, I guess, talking to you with all these moves that have happened that I just mentioned. What has kind of stood out to you the most, or what's been your big takeaway here this first week of Packers of bringing back some of their guys, maybe some of the outside guys they brought in, obviously the trade with Zaire Franklin, bringing him at linebacker. What has stood out to you the most, or what has just kind of been your overall thoughts so far of the Packers?
So the two moves actually kind of stuck out to me that were Packers related. Amidst all of the moves that were made last week, it was kind of a whirlwind to try to keep up with everything while I was out last week. First one was getting a 4th round pick for Rashawn Gary. Definitely was not expecting to see him traded. I thought he was a cap casualty candidate, or try to restructure him, to have him take a pay cut. So him being traded was the first big surprise to me. Second was Rasheed Walker only getting $10 million. And, I think he was kind of, at the outset, kind of considered one of the top tackles in free agency coming into this class. And he sat out there for 2 or 3 days, and he finally signed for 1 year, $10 million or so with Carolina. That was kind of shocking to me. Other than that, I think the Quay number came in a little lower than a lot of people were expecting, or maybe he was expecting. I don't think he quite got 15 million, I think, was the number kind of projected, and he came in at about 13 or so a year. And I like some of the moves that they made. I think they're just kind of 1 year kind of stopgap plugs with Benjamin St. Just and Zaire Franklin. Definitely not long term answers. And then Javon Hargrave was definitely, I think, somewhat of a surprise as well with him. Being 33, I think he is. And how often do you see the Packers sign anyone over the age of 30? So, um, should be interesting to see how he plays. Especially, I think he had some decent success with Gannon as his DC in Philadelphia. I think the stats don't look as good last year in Minnesota, but it sounds like that's a lot of scheme driven stuff with the way that Flores likes to play. So, be interesting to see how he performs this year in Green Bay.
Yeah, Riley, wanna go to you to this because, obviously we touched a little bit about the Packers free agency, some of the moves last week, but Hargraves has been the big one since the last episode. We talked about that room needed some depth. They needed some bodies there, so they go and get a veteran, a guy that Mike mentioned has familiarity with Gannon. So, what was your thoughts and reaction of bringing a guy like that into that group?
Yeah, really, it really addresses the interior pass rush. Him and Devontae Wyatt, best combo interior guys that the Packers have had in so 10 plus years. Um, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the Packers actually do. You got all these insiders or whatever, really, really pushing this 3-4 trend. Like that's what the Packers are going to do. But if you actually look at the roster and what they have, like it kind of seems like they're going to do a 4-3, in my opinion, like bringing back all the linebacker. I have 6 linebackers, inside linebackers in the roster, which kind of correlates to a 4-3. Why the hell would they have 6 linebackers run a 3-4? And just the interior defensive lineman, only signing him, and all the stats have shown that he's better than any defensive interior defensive lineman we've had, but all his numbers say that he is way better in a 4-3 system penetrating. So to me, that kind of correlates back to kind of like I said from the way beginning, like this is going to be very 49ers Halfley esque defense, 43 penetrating on the inside. But we'll see what they do in the draft, obviously, because they haven't addressed having a true nose tackle. But yeah, I'm happy about it. He's a stud pass rush inside. I think he had, I don't even know the exact number. I was looking at it last week, but more sacks than any of our guys did last year. He only played half the time. Rotated a lot with the Vikings having like a million old defensive tackles. They all ended up cutting this year, anyways. Um, so yeah, we'll see, but definitely really good for the room. Obviously an attitude change with Zaire Franklin as well, right behind him. So we'll see how it all pans out, what they actually do in defense. That's what I'm most intrigued by, that nobody really has the answer to yet.
So current state of this roster, when you just look at it, what are the holes, or where do you potentially still add? Is it the same as before the offseason started with defensive tackle, maybe offensive line, maybe corner, or has it shifted at all with maybe some of the additions that they have made? Like when you just look at this current team on paper, what's maybe still missing to hopefully cover that gap and get towards the top of the NFC and make a run to potential Super Bowl? Where do you see maybe some holes still left?
Um, I kind of lean towards like a second solid running back behind Jacobs now that Emmanuel Wilson is out. Um, again, they're probably going to roll with Marshawn Lloyd and see what they have in him, but he is so unproven. Enormous potential, obviously, but um, incredibly unproven as well. Chris Brooks, he's going to be your solid third down pass blocking running back. So maybe it is Lloyd in the end, but um, if they don't see what they need to out of him, or if he, chips a tooth and is out for the year again, um, who knows? Other than that, like this one's not as obvious in terms of like starting positions, but backup quarterback is a big need too in the event that Jordan misses some time.
Yeah, I agree. Offensively, I was I was gonna say basically just depth pieces at all spots except for probably receiver. Backup quarterback, like Mike just said, we got the Anthony Richardson rumors, which I'm a Florida guy, so obviously that'd be awesome to me. Backup running back, a speedster we've talked about if we can't trust Marshawn Lloyd, obviously. We've talked about how absolute dog shit the tight end room is besides Tucker Craft, so they could anything there would be cool. And then probably depth from center all the way left guard, left tackle. I think Kennard being signed back kind of shores up the right guard, right tackle if he has to play. Like I think we're all probably fine with that as a good stopgap. But center to left tackle, depth needs to be addressed. Defensively, I would want another pass rusher like that you actually trust. I think Ben Ness obviously showed promise last year. He was hurt, banged up. We already know he's good against the run, but if he needs a blow, I mean a lot of it's going to depend on Collin, Oliver, and Sorrell's development. Like what I just talked about, if we're going to run a 4-3, I think the defensive tackle room is what it is. Like we have the two starters in Wyatt Hargrave, we have Brooks, we have Brinson, we have Stackhouse. So if you're going to run a 4-3, like I don't know how much I love the room, but there's fucking five guys that you had in the like four guys you had in the roster last year, and you added Hargrave. So like if there's somebody in the draft that like falls to you that you love, like obviously take them. But I don't know if that's really a spot that you need to address. Now, if it's a 3-4, yeah, you need to get a true nose guard. Because I don't think we have a guy like that besides Stackhouse in the roster. Other than that, obviously it's just corner because I don't know if we have a starting corner on the roster. People like Nixon, people don't. Valentine, I don't know. St. Juice is a special teams guy. I have no idea what any of them are. So, corner competition would be my main focus.
Do we think the backers are done with like their quote unquote big moves? I know the cap space is still technically there. I know was it Nate Hobbs is the big one, the post June 1st when all that kind of opens up. But do we think all the big additions are done and maybe we're just going to see some extensions at this point for some of those like key pieces like a Tucker Crafts, potentially start those talks, or where do we think in terms of like adding before the draft or even after the draft, where do we stand kind of at the Packers with the space they have, and what are your thoughts on that?
Um, I mean, I think if anything, if they do extensions, it's going to bring this year's cap number down even more.
True.
Is
Yeah.
create even more space. So if that's the way that they roll, I wouldn't be surprised if they make some other move after the draft. Some other cap casualty that another team's just sitting on right now. Who that would be is anybody's guess. I have no idea, but it's definitely within the realm of possibility.
Yeah, besides doing what we just taught, yeah, the extending all these guys, there's a bunch of guys need to extend before next year. Christian Watson in there too, which I wish they would have done that before because the Alec Pierce bullshit deal that he got is going to kind of fuck the Packers in that bad receiver. No, I don't want to call him bad. He's not great. I don't get it. I talked about that last week. I don't get the deal that he got. Yeah. I don't. Besides that, besides trades, maybe trade for a backup quarterback. AR, I already said. I don't know if you guys saw the crazy Dolphins trade today that they were talking about potentially could happen after the Waddle trade because obviously now the Dolphins have absolutely zero receivers. Yeah, Achan. Talking about and Reed and Wicks have been loud. Whether I don't even know if any of it's real, but they've been loud in a lot of rumors. So that's the rumor that I saw today was one of those two and a pick for A-Chain because A-Chain's in his last year of his contract. And I kind of brought it up before where I think this is Josh Jacobs' last go around here. I think they're gonna cut bait with him after this year unless he just absolutely goes crazy. So, I mean, it would actually make sense that they bring an H-Chan, do a 1-2 horse, whatever, and then keep the younger guy if they're going to re-sign one of them. So, as crazy and out of nowhere it came today, it actually makes sense with obviously the connections in the front office. It's Green Bay and Green Bay South right now.
All right, real quick before we move on to March Madness, this kind of broke like when we were doing the podcast last week, so we really haven't gotten a chance to talk about it. But I want to just quickly talk about this whole Max Crosby fiasco of obviously the Ravens backing out. and kind of what that almost did to maybe some of the other moves. Max Crosby returning to the Raiders for now. And then what? The very next day or 2 days later, they go and sign Mike's guy, Trey Hendrickson, to a deal. And, the rumor all along was, well, they wanted them both potentially. But I don't know what were your guys' kind of like whole like stance on it. To me, I know it rubbed a lot of other like GMs very wrong, like across the league. We're very pissed off about how that whole thing was like just kind of handled. And I don't know. Yeah, it was strange because yet like he had surgery, so like I don't think he was ever going to pass a physical, right? So like to me, like something either A had to be very, very bad where you think it was going to be like either career threatening or like something that was going to linger for a long time, or they just got cold feet and they just backed out and said, oh shit, maybe we shouldn't give up this capital. But I don't know. I just want to hear what your guys' thoughts were, because I just thought it was crazy how just the whole thing played out. And ultimately it seems like the Ravens still got what they wanted. I mean, I don't know how you want to compare Hendrickson to Crosby, like probably at least a little tier underneath, but like the production has been there where he's been healthy. So ultimately they still got a guy, but it's just weird how it all just kind of played out.
Yeah, so at first, I was I mean, I had heard about it, but I hadn't been paying that close attention to it. But the more that I listened to people talk about it, um, there definitely seemed like there's some shady business going on with Baltimore. Um, I mean, I don't see any scenario where they could have had them both. Like that just seems too good to be true. And if something seems too good to be true, then it probably is. I don't know. I I just don't understand the pursuit of Crosby if you knew he wasn't going to pass a physical, because I don't think the trade can go through if he doesn't pass the physical. So I don't understand every angle of it, but it just, yeah, it seems shady and weird.
Yeah, I think it was like Mike said, complete bullshit. I think there was no way whether they could have done it or not. There's no way they were ever gonna have both of them. They had Max Crosby, and then nobody jumped on Hendrickson and offered him money, and they got Hendrickson to accept a deal of only $28 million a year, which very fucking low. And they're like, oh shit, well we don't fucking need Crosby anymore. We're gonna steal this guy for only $28 million a year, and they use that excuse because like I don't know if either of you guys watched, like he talked or Max Crosby on his had a podcast today. He talked about his own podcast. He came out and said like he was there for 4 hours, never even spoke to Mentor, the head coach. The GM only spoke to him 3.5 hours in, and that was to tell him that they were having second thoughts about it because he obviously whatever. And then he demanded to talk to the team doctor, and the team doctor said, "Well, yeah, like you're on schedule, but like we just you should be ready for the season, but like we obviously don't know if you will be." That's literally what Max Crosby, which he doesn't come across as somebody that gives a fuck about anything. So I don't think he's gonna lie about that. So the Ravens just basically just played the system and knew they got Hendrickson on such a cheap deal, and they said, "Well, fuck this guy, we don't need him anymore, and we can use this as a scapegoat because he can't pass a physical." And that's what they did. So yeah, bullshit. Should get penalized if the NFL actually looks into it. Hope they do. Which I don't know what they could actually do besides maybe just like stripping him with a random ass draft pick later on, but they should get penalized in some sort because that's just shady. It's bullshit. That's terrible business.
Yeah, and that was actually one of our comments from last week's episode from Sam with the whole Max Crosby debacle. I saw someone online say that NFL teams could use this as a tactic in the future to just back out of trades to screw over other teams. Does the NFL need to step in and do something about this to make sure that the original team doesn't get in terrible cap space spot like the Raiders are now, since they spent a bunch of money they thought they had available, which that was crazy because they did. They made a lot of moves, like assuming that Crosby obviously was going to be gone, free up that obviously the draft capital. Like even like the Packers were like nervous if it was going to kind of have like the effect of them with like the Rashawn Gary move, if that was going to be. So yeah, it was just a completely weird situation. And yeah, to me, I think they should be penalized like in some form. Like luckily it seemed like it didn't affect any other teams at the moment. But yeah, I mean that's something if teams in the future say, well, fuck, if the Ravens did that. We'll just, do that at some point as well. But
That's
I,
and
yeah,
it was a meniscus, literally the least severe possible knee injury. Like they had, don't you remember the end of the year, like them, Max Crosby and the Raiders had like an argument. Like he was playing on it. Like a meniscus, you can play on a torn. So like even if he like something's not like he literally could just like get shot up and fucking play. Like there was literally no question if he was gonna play week 1 this year or not, whether he was good or not, because you can. That's fucking it's bullshit. It's a shit. That's bad. NFL needs to do something.
yeah. Well, we will wait and see if they actually do step in and do the quote unquote right thing there. But yeah, just interesting how that whole thing played out, and yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, it doesn't happen again anytime soon. But all right, well, that is. Mike's got one more thing actually before we move on. There, go ahead.
Yeah, before we get into March Madness, I just want to touch on last week's episode really quickly.
Go ahead.
Um,
Tear us
I
up.
thought, I thought Satan did a phenomenal job filling in. He was great. One thing I found really interesting was when, particularly when you guys were talking about Anthony Belton and Jordan Morgan, and how he broke down the kind of nuance and technicality of playing guard versus tackle, left side versus right. I thought that was really interesting to listen to, just because you don't get a lot of breakdown on offensive line play. I feel like just from any analyst out there in the world, it's all like quarterback and how they read stuff and whatnot. So I think hearing that from Peyton was really interesting to hear, and I'm glad he brought that up.
Yeah. It made me, just listening to those two talk about it, made me feel a lot more optimistic even about the offensive line, and I think a little more excited too of hopefully these guys finally like sliding into their spots and getting like the full off season, full training camp, and see like what this O-line can do. But yeah, Peyton did awesome. I thought you were gonna bring up the UFC stuff at the way. That's what stood
We
out to
can.
you as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you love it.
Yeah.
Did you love it?
It was good stuff. Okay, you said you don't even know if I even know any UFC fighters.
You don't.
I am familiar with some of the names.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know like much about them. What style they fight, what class they're
Sure.
in, their record, anything like that. So uh I know the names. That's about it. Um, Fun fact though, a high school classmate of mine did MMA, and I actually went and watched one of his fights when I was probably in college. I will say the atmosphere was electric.
Yeah.
Um, like I don't like buy fights or anything like that, but I mean, if someone said they were buying a fight or they're going to a bar to watch it or something, like I'd go watch it. Or I mean, if I ever had the chance to like actually go to a real UFC live event, like I think that would be incredibly fun. Just the atmosphere seems insane.
Yeah. I've always told Hannah, I don't know like what all needs to be sanctioned and all like the loopholes to go through to like make it whatever, make it legal or whatever and where it's hosted. But I told Hannah that the Resch Center should push for some sort of like MMA sort of event.
Yeah.
Like I think that would just be fantastic in Wisconsin, and get a very good attendance and whatnot. It doesn't have to be like a huge card by any means, but like whatever local upcomers, young guys, or I don't know. I think that would be very fun and exciting event to me to go to. But cool. Well, yeah, I thought like you said, I think Peyton did an awesome job. Get some different perspectives, and yeah, the UFC stuff at the end was fantastic. Little fight by fight breakdown too, which I enjoyed as well. Gave me a little insight of what to look towards. But cool. All right. Well, with that being said, that was the opening drive. Let's go to 3 and out. And like Mike mentioned, it's going to be all March Madness from here on out to the end of the show. So what we're going to do, we're not going to obviously go game by game because that would just take hours and hours that you would have to listen and put up with us. And by no means, we're not experts. We're just casual fans just like you. So what we're going to do is just take a look at Illinois, Wisconsin, some potential teams on upset alert, and potentially some teams that can make a Cinderella run here for 3 and out. And then we'll get to our final 4 picks and a little bit more info on what the group Dairyland Drive bracket's going to look like at the end of the show. But it is time for three and out. We're going to start on first down, like I mentioned. Um, Boy, oh boy. I don't know about your perspective, Mike, but I think Wisconsin got a little hosed with their draw. Tough draw. Is it absolutely impossible for them to make it to the second weekend? Absolutely not. But very interesting what the committee put them with a 30-win team, which seems to be a common theme. Wisconsin, a team that had a lot of success in the regular season. High Point, which it's going to be a very interesting matchup. And then, hey, if you beat them, potentially you have a very hot Arkansas team waiting for you in the round of 32. So I can't imagine you're too happy with the Badgers draw, and it's going to be kind of wait and see. But just from your perspective, what do you think is Wisconsin's ceiling now, or what's your expectation now after seeing their bracket, their region, where they're kind of their path, I guess, to forward?
Yeah. First of all, I hate that we're playing out on the West Coast early window on Thursday
Yeah.
of 12:50 Central Time, but 10:50 Portland time. What are we doing? Like that is so stupid. So I'll be en route to Green Bay during the game, so I won't probably get to catch it live. Probably have to listen to it on the radio. As far as the game itself, uh, it does scare me a little bit. It seems like for whatever reason the committee likes to put Wisconsin against these high scoring up tempo teams these last couple years. BYU last year, we saw how that went. High Point this year. Very high scoring team. I want to say they average like close to 90 a game, but not a great defensive team. So that might be our only saving grace. That being said, we'll have to knock down shots because Wisconsin, if their threes aren't falling, they tend to just keep chucking them up anyway and not really adjust and drive to the paint. I think they did a little bit better job of that in the Big Ten tournament when the shots weren't falling, but that's certainly not a season long theme. Um, so we'll see. Defense is probably going to have to be just good enough for them to win. Again, 5-12 game. Those are always scary. I don't remember what the matchup against BYU was last year. Was it like a 3-14? Was it that big of a disparity? I don't remember. But 5-12 is always scary. Um, and then getting placed in the same bracket as, like you said, Arkansas, who's got one of the top freshmen in Darius Akoff. Arizona's got three that I think that they start. They're one of the best teams in the nation. BYU, obviously, again, I think they're a very high scoring team again this year. They're in that bracket, albeit in the lower half. Um, we've talked about this on a couple of occasions. Wisconsin's a team that could lose right away the first round, or they could, potentially get to the Elite Eight. I kind of see their ceiling being the Sweet 16. I don't see them, if they're lucky enough to get past Arkansas, I definitely don't see them getting past Arizona, even though they've had a lot of success against Arizona in the NCAA tournament in the past. I don't think that's the case this year. I just don't know what their depth is going to be. I mean, they have the two guards, Boyd and Blackwell. Beyond that,
Bias.
I'm not sure how Winter's going to be. He sat out the whole Big Ten tournament. We'll see how effective he'll be able to be. I just don't have a lot of faith in their bench, so I kind of see Sweet 16 being their ceiling this year.
Riley, what you got them for your ceiling from your perspective?
Yeah, I agree. I have Sweet 16. I think Arizona, just their bigs, and we've talked about like Wisconsin doesn't have the bigs to like guard those guys, and Arizona's bigs are very good.
Yeah.
I think Wisconsin beats the absolute shit out of High Point, like beats them by 30. And I also think they actually.
I hope you're right.
I'm not gonna say they handle Arkansas, but like I just like they literally have played They just played Arkansas and beat them in the Big Ten tournament in Illinois. Like in Illinois, like surrounding players are better. Like it's a ball dominant Keaton Wagler, ball dominant Darren Acuff. Like it's the same fucking team, same whatever. They know how to play those guys. Um, so yeah, I mean, a little bit. Not, no, not really. Actually, like literally, they if Wagler, Acuff don't do everything for their team, like they're gonna lose. So and they have a recipe to obviously mess with the star player. Obviously, if it's a ticky tack crew they get, so I don't know the ref crews or where they're assigned to, or if there's any stats on that. But if they get a crew against Arkansas, lets them play. I can't think of his name right now. Whatever the tall white guy that the guard that starts, that definitely should not start, but he just plays defense and he's actually kind of physical. If they can let him play and he can bother Ake up at all, I think they handle Arkansas just fine.
Yeah, Andrew Rohde, I think, is who you're referring to. Is he like number 7? Yeah, he kind of surprised me because yeah, he followed Wagler around a good chunk at times in that matchup in the our Big Ten tournament. But yeah, I mean, March Madness, I still feel like you go as your guards go, and I think that's why Wisconsin still can make it easily to the second weekend in the Sweet 16 because those guards can score. And I think what's like so impressive about them is they can score at like all three levels too. Like Nick Boyd around the basket down in the paint is like insane. Of like some of the shots that he gets to go, like anytime that he gets an angle and is going downhill, like he's gonna score. He's either gonna score or get to the foul line. It's very impressive. And then like Blackwell, all it takes Blackwell to do is make one shot, and I feel like he'll hit like four after that. He might go 0 for 7 before that, but like Mike said, fucker's gonna keep shooting. Like you can't get hot if you don't shoot. Yeah, I mean those two have shown that they can go for 30, both of them in the same game. So I think that's why I think there's going to be a lot of people that they're going to be very popular picks potentially to, obviously get to the Sweet 16, but maybe even fuck with Arizona and kind of see what happens because anything can happen in the Sweet 16. But yeah, I think the bigs are still what lowers their ceiling maybe just a little bit. And like what you mentioned, if they can hit shots, if Wisconsin bigs can hit shots, they are tough. They are tough to beat. If what's his name hits 6 threes in a row or whatever that was against Michigan, just absolutely, just absolutely insane. Goes on a heater. How many people had Austin Rapp on a heater against Michigan there of 5 or 6 in a row?
That's who he is. He's either on fire or he's 0 for 8.
Yeah. Yeah, so Wisconsin bigs can shoot, and obviously you know what you're going to get for the most part with Blackwell and Boyd. Like, yeah, I think they could definitely make it to the Sweet 16 and get past Arkansas. But yeah, Arizona's a tall task, man. Like they are good. You mentioned the success against Arizona in the past, but yeah, I think this team's just a little different with what they have. Some of the athletes in their guard play, but um, we will see. So yeah, I think the Wisconsin High Point game might just could be the first to like 100 wins potentially. First to 90, first to 100 wins.
God.
But we'll see what happens. All right. Well, on the other side, Illinois stumbling, crawling to the tournament here. Luckily gets a 3 seed. And a familiar face that they're going to match up with Fran McCaffrey coaching at his alma mater. They get Penn in the first round. We're gonna see some of the what is it called, the Franometer or Francon meter, Francon 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. See if we'll see some of that. They're like minus 24.5 right now against Penn, which is a very large spread. But they just had some dude that just went for like 46, I think, in the conference championship that they won in the Ivy League. Yeah, I don't know what to think about them. Like, I don't hate their draw. Like North Carolina does not have Caleb Wilson. I know VCU is going to be a very hot upset pick there if you're looking at potentially what they could see in like the round of 32. But yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. Me and Riley were talking before Mike joined us here in the pre-show in the lobby. Jay Billis, his bracket is just insane. He has Illinois going to the Final Four. He has them losing to Michigan State in the Final Four, which is just maybe even crazier to me. But that's like the best version of Illinois. I don't think Illinois is like its best version, its best self right now. Like me and Riley have talked and like they haven't shot over 30% from 3 against like a good team since I don't even know. Their win against Nebraska, maybe the last time that they shot over 30% against a good team from three. Like it's their numbers are bad. Like no one is hitting anything. The Visic's, we know that they're kind of pussies. They're not very they're very soft down there. They're not hitting their shots. That's a big deal for Illinois and how this like roster is constructed. Like they are supposed to be skillful. They're supposed to be five out and everyone can shoot. And they're just not doing that right now. They're solely, like Riley mentioned, relying on Wagler and what he can do, and then the heater he went on. It just wasn't realistic that Wagler was going to continue that level of play for like this stretch. Teams were going to figure it out and know how to guard him and throw the kitchen sink at him. But still, what do I think Illinois' ceiling is? Like, try not to be a homer. I don't know. I don't think they can get to a Final Four because, like me and Riley talked about before, I think that's a tough task. But I would say their ceiling is probably Elite Eight. But like just looking at like our expectations before the season, and where they're playing right now, if they got to Elite Eight, like I would take that as a huge win. I like their first two matchups potentially. Houston, it's not like your same Houston team of like a dominant defense. They're not as good defensively as they've been. They're a little better offensively, but I think Illinois at its best is a better offensive team. So we'll see. We'll see what version we get of Illinois if they're hitting their shots and actually give a shit on defense and rebounding. This team is very talented. And let's not forget they won like 14 straight or whatever it was not too long ago, and we're 20-3. Talks of flirting with the one seed, so it's not too far off. And some of these losses, like all these losses, are close. 3 overtime losses. I think like all of their losses pretty much are like within like 6 or 7 points, so they're not too far off. But again, doesn't matter. You still lose. You got to close out games, and this team has given up some big leads and can't finish teams out. So I don't know. My ceiling, Elite Eight. More realistically, what do I think they're going to do? I think they could get to the Sweet 16. I think they lose to Houston, like in a toss up. Like that's where I have them in my bracket. But Riley, I don't know what you have them as.
Yeah, I think the ceiling's a Elite Eight as well. I think like we talked about pre-show. I think they can beat Houston if they get there. I mean, it's like you said, Houston's not like the traditional like defense, ultra physical Houston team. Um, it's kind of going to be Kingston Fleming's their stud freshman guard versus Keaton Wagler, and I mean we have Boswell. As long as we can follow trouble, you think he would be able to mess with Fleming's a little bit, and Houston doesn't have bigs that can kind of like, I mean, go off what you said. Like, obviously, we're not the most physical team down low, but Houston doesn't have bigs that are like scorers that can take advantage of that, or really bigs that can like just out rebound us like crazy. So yeah, Elite Eight. Like, I think Florida's obviously gonna be there waiting, and their front court is just they're just mad. Like, it's all 4 guys from last year all back. Maybe a team that's actually bigger than Illinois. I mean, they start 6'10", 6'11", and a 7-footer. So I don't think Illinois would obviously handle that well. We talked about athletic, physical teams. They don't handle well. So that's what Florida is. So unless Florida get upset, then we talk about something different. But if Florida's sitting there waiting in the Elite Eight, like I think that's Illinois' ceiling. But kind of like what counts. I don't like they could lose. I mean, they're going to beat Penn, but I don't know if they'll beat North Carolina or VCU with how they're playing right now. They're so inconsistent. And like I said, I can see them beating Houston. I don't know if I'll pick it or not. Right now, in my bracket, I have them beating them, but like I mean, still might go back in and change it before it's like final tomorrow.
It's not official yet until what, Thursday at 11. Mike, you don't have to give insight, but where do you in your current bracket as it sits? Where do you have the Illini making it to?
I've got you losing to Houston in the Sweet 16. So, beating Penn, beating North Carolina.
Okay. Yeah, so I think kind of on the same page with almost Illinois and Wisconsin at this point of winnable games in their first two matchups. Not so sure what we're gonna get in the Sweet 16 or Elite Eight, but okay. Well, that is first down for Illinois and Wisconsin. How what we have them as the ceiling, what we think that they could do and perform here this weekend. But let's go to second down. March Madness, all about upsets. Everyone loves upsets. That's what, like, I think draws the casual fan in is to see, the 15, the 14, the 13, the 12 seed, whatever, every year, come out of nowhere and win. So don't have to give me a ton, maybe just one team that you really like. But what are, or sorry, upset teams? So we're going on the other side. I'm thinking of the Cinderella. Sorry, jumping ahead to third down. Second down. Which team do you think is most vulnerable right now? Just in this first round. Just in this first round, we'll uh, discuss and focus on which team in this first round matchup do you think is very vulnerable of being on upset alert and fall to whoever.
I went with Kansas. They always seem like a team that's always a top candidate to get bumped in the first round every single year. They always get one of those top 4 seeds, and then they just absolutely choke it away. It seems like they're like Elite 8 bound or they're out in the first round. So by my default, I always just kind of choose Kansas to fall under that category. Um, I don't know what Darren Peterson's situation is. I know he's missed some time this year. There's kind of been a little controversy around that, it seems like. I would have to imagine this is the NCAA tournament and he is going to play. I don't know how you don't if you aren't injured or seriously injured. Um, but I don't know. Just seems like Kansas is always a top candidate for me to get bumped in the first round every year.
Oh yeah, I got a couple. My first one, I don't even know how big of a one you want to say it. I just Louisville is a 6 seed playing South Florida 11. I just don't think the ACC is after the top 1 or 2 teams, 3 teams is just I don't think they're any good. So that's one. Then real ones that are bigger and they fit the same little quadrant here. Um, Akron playing Texas Tech. Texas Tech's just hurt. Like arguably had the best player in the country, torn ACL after the year, and then Hofstra over Alabama. Alabama is just they have injuries obviously from earlier in the year. But it just seems like there's so much drama. Like they just had another guy get arrested like literally 2 days ago. Like not like a key player, but like that is just so much drama and bullshit. It seems like with Alabama this year. So I guess Hofstra and Akron playing Bama and Texas Tech will be my 12 and 13, 4, 5 seed actual teams that are on upset alert. I couldn't really find anything else that I really liked very much.
Yeah, I like the South Florida one as well. I think that's gonna be a very popular pick. Like they're very good. So I would not be surprised if that's on a lot of people's brackets. But one that I've been reading about as well. 13 seed Troy potentially over Nebraska. Let's not forget, Nebraska has never won an NCAA tournament game. Yes, they've had a great season, but you have to think at some point like that's got to be in the back of their minds and maybe not playing as loose against a good Troy team. So that was one. Yes, I know Nebraska can you know, make you kind of suffocate you with their defense and has some good pieces on offense. But if that game is close at some point or Troy sticks around, just something to maybe keep in mind of just that little added pressure of Troy over Nebraska. But all right, well, let's go kind of um, in a sense with that. It doesn't have to be like a double digit seed, but like not including a 1 seed, a 2 seed, like those top teams that are favorites to win. Um, which team or teams do you think potentially has a very good draw and potentially could make a Cinderella run to whatever, to the Final Four? Maybe not like win it all, but maybe like an outside shot at the Final Four, maybe Elite Eight, whatever it is, whatever level. What team do you like with their draw that you could see them making a run here that maybe someone would not see or put in their bracket?
Honestly, I kind of want to go with Miami of Ohio here, just to get at least to get to the second weekend. Not knowing a lot about the teams in their bracket, you got Tennessee, Virginia, Iowa State, some of the top teams in that part of the bracket. Um, I don't know. I feel like they could maybe take down Tennessee or Virginia if they have a good night. Um, other than that, um, maybe McNeese as well. Um, you just talked about Nebraska, so if they can take down Vanderbilt in the first round, match up against Nebraska in the round of 32, maybe play themselves into a Sweet 16 game as a 12 seed too.
Yeah, for me, I kind of touched. I've won on both on each side. I kind of just touched on both of them. But my main one that I could see making a run to the Final Four, and they'll probably lose right away in the first round. Collin said too, like South Florida's good, and I think their bracket kind of sucks in my opinion. Like I'm not huge on Michigan State. UCLA's half said. UConn just lost by 25 to St. John's. So like to get to the elite eight to me would not be crazy. Then obviously everybody expects Duke. Or Mike's already talked about Kansas not maybe being the greatest pick this year either. Duke's out 2 starters. Who knows when they come back? So like it's like I said, I don't know. South Florida just really has a great path to me. And on the other side, I kind of touched on as well. I would pick Akron just to get to the Sweet 16 before they'd run into Michigan. Just kind of what I talked about. Texas Tech and Alabama just aren't healthy. Bama's got some shit going on. So yeah, Akron and my 12 seed Sweet 16 pick if I had to pick one.
Okay. The one I had, and I think I don't know if it's happened every year, but ever since they did the first four in those playing games, I feel like an 11 seed has made it to like the second weekend, like a ton. I don't know if you guys have it in the bracket. Mike, I know Mike just mentioned Miami, Ohio is kind of
Ohio.
potentially his. I like the game tonight. And again, like I will say this team, and they might freaking lose and not even officially make it into the 64. So technically, you get two teams out of it. But I like Texas over potentially BYU and then also over Gonzaga to make it to the Sweet 16. And kind of like Riley just mentioned, like injuries, like BYU, not the same team since Richie Saunders got hurt and out for the season. And then Gonzaga, like they're banged up as well too with their bigs. So I don't know like what they're going to be if they're at full health, but like Texas has got some dudes, got some athletes, got some scores. We'll see. I know they're 18 and 14, lost a lot of games. They got to beat NC State first, but they're my team. 11 seed potentially to make a little bit run here and get to the Sweet 16. So
They're up one right now.
there we go. We'll see. We'll see if that continues. All right, I want to do a bonus fourth down before we get to our final four picks, and maybe this goes into your final four picks. But we always have to ask in your current bracket which one seed is going to go down first, or maybe if you have all one seeds literally making it to the final four, then the follow-up question would be which one seed you think is in the most jeopardy to potentially lose before the final four.
I would have to look through my bracket here.
Riley, you got,
I,
or
For
Mike,
me,
you still looking?
I'd have to flip a coin between Florida and Michigan. I think Florida's got a tougher bracket. Obviously, they just lost to Vanderbilt. Nebraska can shoot the hell out of the ball if they're hot. Illinois, same thing. Houston is Houston. So I think Florida has a really tough bracket. But for whatever reason in my head, I have a hard time seeing them lose. The team I'm leaning probably would be Michigan, and it'd be in the Elite Eight. But like either Virginia or Iowa State, I think could beat Michigan. Collin, you said earlier, like guard play really rules it. And I'm not saying obviously Michigan's guard play is good. I don't think it's great though. Like that's not where they're dominant at. So I think if a team can match their physicality, Axel Ironborg, you need like he might just completely disappear. He does that in games for some reason. I wouldn't think in the tournament he would, but if you held me to the fire, I would probably have to pick Michigan.
yeah, Michigan was my only one seed that I did not have going to the Elite Eight. Um, and honestly, I kind of reading up on Georgia a little bit. I kind of think they might have a chance if Georgia gets past St. Louis. I think Georgia can play with them. I think Michigan's vulnerable. Wisconsin should have had them in the Big Ten tournament.
Ohio State could have maybe had him.
Ohio State could have had them. They're vulnerable, so I think they are right for the picking to go down early as a one seed.
Yeah, I think with LJ Kaysen and his season-ending injury, like I think that's been a huge deal for him, just like with their backcourt and like with the depth that they had. Like you have to have good guard play to win a national championship. So I don't I don't I don't know. I don't know they're so used to being like bigger and just like the Big Ten style of play. I guess we'll see if that kind of translates to some of these other teams and other conferences that potentially can match, their length and athleticism and whatnot. But I also have Michigan thinking they're very vulnerable. And I don't know, Duke is Duke is very good, but like I don't think the committee did Duke any favors of like what potentially their bracket is, just in terms of like big names like Michigan State, UConn, what St. John's just did. Like, do I think Duke is better than all of them? Of course, but like that's still a lot of potential teams. If you get their best, like that could beat them. So like I was kind of surprised that the committee put a lot of the teams in that at one point or the other was very good this year. So okay, well that kind of leads us to the final drive. We're not going to go through every single round. We're just going to give you our final four in our national championship game and champion. And then we'll talk a little bit about the group bracket. But let's start with you, Mike. Your final four as of recording this on a Tuesday. It could get changed, but as of now,
Right.
what is your final four as you see it?
So as of now, I have UConn coming out of the East,
Okay.
Houston coming out of the South, Arizona coming out of the West, and Virginia coming out of the Midwest.
Okay.
Um, you want me to keep going?
We'll leave it
What?
there for now. We'll go to Riley's final four. Riley, what's your final four?
Yeah, mine's pretty boring, but I'm really leaning towards changing two of them. So like I think in my head right now my locks are Florida and Arizona. Right now in mine I have all four one seeds. I could not do it, but like I just said Michigan, like kind of like what Mike said. And I'm going the other way. Like I have St. Louis beating Georgia, and I could see St. Louis beating like Michigan in the second round just because their big shoot so well. Um, so I don't know what I'm gonna do there yet. And I kind of talked about it. I literally might talk myself into taking South Florida all the way to the Final Four, because of like they're supreme. I just if Duke's not healthy, I don't know. That's the way I have Florida and I have Arizona for sure. Right now, I have all four one seeds, but do not be shocked if tomorrow night, because I don't touch them Thursday, because then I really start. You know what I mean? Like you got like a couple hours before the game start, like it's game day. I don't touch it after tomorrow night. No. But do not be shocked if tomorrow night my final four is not South Florida versus Florida and Arizona versus. I don't even know who I'm gonna. I just that's the Midwest to me. I think it sucks. I don't like any of those teams. I don't think Iowa State's great. Don't think Virginia's great. Me and Collin watched Illinois just beat the absolute shit out of Tennessee and Texas Tech, and Texas Tech's hurt. It's like I just don't like anybody in the Midwest region. So I don't really know what I'm gonna do there.
Okay. All right. So an unofficial official one there for Riley. But here's what I have as of now too, and it could change because I've already opened the ESPN app like up like probably 10 or 15 times a day just looking at matchups. But as of right now, I have Duke, Houston, Arizona, and Iowa State. But again, like that could change as well because that's just kind of boring. 1-2, 1-2. I know last year it was the boring all four one seed, so it could happen. But that's what I have as of now. But all right, let's go back to you, Mike. Who is in your championship game, and who do you have at this moment winning it all?
So I've got Houston making the return to the championship game against Arizona. And I think this is the year Arizona takes it home.
And I want to preface this too that I think all three of us had the same national championship pick last year, if I'm correct, right? Didn't we all pick Florida and Florida ended up winning? So I just want to preface that. I should have done that before Mike just talked, but Riley, let's go to you. Mike picked Arizona. Who do you have as of right now?
Oh yeah, and based on my final four locks, I'm only confident in two of them. Those are the two teams I have going to the national championship. So I have Florida versus Arizona. And I mean, as you guys know, Florida's my second basketball team, first football teams. Like they're in my heart. So bias, like I've talked about how good their big guys are. Yeah, as long as their guards can just shoot, like we say this for Illinois or and even Wisconsin, as long as their three guards that play can shoot like 33 to 35% from three. Like I just don't know how a team matches up with Florida. Any team, they're all like their bigs are all old, like they're juniors, seniors, like they're fucking grown men. So yeah, I'm gonna go Florida to run it back to back national champions.
Wow. Okay. So we got a Florida pick there. So
2 days later.
I had Duke and Arizona in my national championship as of now, and I am on the same page with Mike. I just think this Arizona team is, to me, I think they're the team to beat. They're just so good at like every single position. They got size. They got, a lottery pick or potentially a lottery pick. Kobe Pete, that's been fantastic. I think their guard play is very good. And veteran guys that can shoot, can drive. They play defense. So I don't know. To me, as of right now, I don't know if this is going to change. Arizona, they are my current pick. Who they play against might change, but that is currently what I have. So, um, okay. Well, if it comes down to Arizona and even Florida, that could be a very interesting watch party, I guess, for us. We might have the tiebreaker decide it, but that is our brackets as of now. Like I said, we were recording this on a Tuesday night. Games don't start till Thursday at 11, so things could change. Riley's already mentioned it. So if you want to see what our official brackets look like I mentioned, if you're watching this on YouTube, listening or watching on Spotify and Apple, we're going to include the direct link where you can join our ESPN group, the Dairyland Drive. Password is password, so super simple. You can submit your own bracket. You can take a look at our bracket once Thursday at 11 rolls in. And you can follow along and see who has bragging rights out of everyone. The crew here of the Dairyland Drive or the listeners. We will see who has bragging rights here in a few weeks and wins the bracket challenge. So, once again, it'll be on the ESPN app, easy to download, probably the most popular bracket selection, I think, of all the apps. Super easy. Submit it by Thursday at 11. You can join the Dairyland Drive group, password. The link is going to be below in the description. We hope all of the listeners and even new ones share it to who else that you want to join. If they've listened or know of the Dairyland Drive, we want all of our loyal fans to join in on the fun. So, that is that. We will get this up. Like I said, plenty of time so you can hear a little insight from us and maybe a little scouting of what our picks are potentially going to be before you make yours. But March Madness is here. Exciting time. Like I've said, this is kind of almost a holiday for me every year. The I guess the flexibility of working from home. Like I don't have basically anything on my schedule for Thursday and Friday. I make sure I work ahead where I can just watch basketball from 11 to whatever it is. And this year, get to throw a little Hardy in there as well at the rest there in Green Bay. So, not thrilled that he's playing the same time as Illinois. But we'll make it work. Hopefully, the Illini can put a little whooping on Fran and make me feel a little bit better by the time Hardy comes on, whatever time it is, 9 or a little bit later after that. So, all right. Well, any closing thoughts where we get out of here from the crew, the boys? Feel good about it. We'll see what the official picks and how many things change, but yeah, super exciting time of year. And looking forward to hear these next few weeks to see who ends up on top on the bragging rights game. But as always, thanks for listening to the Dairyland Drive podcast. However you listen to it, I mentioned Spotify, Apple, If you watch it on YouTube, keep giving us those 5-star reviews. Keep commenting every single week. We better see a bunch of brackets of all of our listeners submitted in the group. We're super excited for you to kind of follow along with that. But as always, Collin, Mike, and Riley, thanks for putting up for us for an hour and listening once again. We will see you next episode.
Go Pack Go, and on Wisconsin.